Vous êtes allé au Dinard Festival du film britannique pour montrer Help à un public français. Même si l'histoire se passe en Angleterre, peut-on dire que la détresse de Sarah pourrait être celle de n'importe quelle aide-soignante ou aide-soignant, du moins en Europe? D'une certaine manière, l'histoire est-elle un peu universelle à l'ère de la pandémie du Covid-19?
I think that's right. I think it is a universal story. I mean, I think the details of what happened to each care sector around the world will probably be very different. But it was very interesting listening to the experiences of care workers and nurses who came to see the film in Dinard. It's just that I think the essential qualities of care are really, really special, and it's sort of a specialist job, and it requires a lot of yourself. And you know, the film is very much a sort of love letter to that industry and those people about what they went through last year, at the beginning of last year. And I think that's, you know, I think with differing specifics, I think a lot of care workers around the world went through this.
J'ai entendu dire que vous aviez rencontré des aides-soignants au festival du film britannique de Dinard. Qu'ont-ils dit à propos de Help? Est-ce proche de ce qu'ils ont vécu réellement au plus haut de la pandémie?
It's difficult to watch the film and not be moved because it's about this incredible platonic love affair between two people, one of whom has young onset Alzheimer's and one of whom is there to care for them, who has come to the care system never having had a stable job before and not much of an education because of her attitude and her history, and finds herself in a situation where she's actually very, very good at the job. You know, this is a film about good people trying their best in impossible situations. You know, the man who runs the care home, played by Ian Hart, his name is Steve in the film. He's taken over from her, but he's not a natural. Although he's doing his best, he's not as proactive as other people might be, and he suffers as a consequence of that. And I think that was pretty true of most of the care homes. This is a small family-run care home, and the care homes that did well in the crisis were those that were bigger, that may have had a chain of when you have a flu-like illness in the home. So there was one care home which had a flu epidemic the year before in the home, and so they knew to stop visits immediately, which wasn't government policy. They knew to keep people in their room and isolate them. They knew to wear PPE and masks all the time. Not very well compared with those bigger homes. So it's really about the impossibility of trying to do well in a situation where you're not really given the information or the equipment.
Quand vous découvrez que votre film résonne autant en France qu'au Royaume-Uni, avez-vous mis les choses en perspective dans la manière dont votre pays ou le monde fait face à la crise du Covid-19?
Things about traveling with a film is you hear other people's experiences, you hear where it's different, where it's the same, and that's always really, really rewarding.
Comment êtes-vous arrivé sur le projet Help? Est-ce la première fois que vous travaillez avec Jack Thorne?
No, I've worked with Jack a couple of times before. We did a series called National Treasure for Channel 4 a few years ago. Very, very different piece about a man who's accused of a historic sex crime. And I also made an adaptation of The Secret Garden, the novel with Jack, which came out last year as well. So this is the third time I've worked with him, and we have another project in development as well. So yes, we're inseparable. I'm an indentured servant to him.
Quand on voit le film, on ressent l'anxiété de Sarah et la situation pandémique. Comment créer cette anxiété à l'image?
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, my pitch for the piece was always that it was like a home invasion movie. You know, this classic home invasion movie. It's a girl alone in a house with this silent, invisible, murderous invader. And she's unable to contact anyone outside the house. No one's returning her calls. She can't get through to the emergency services. And in that sense, it's like a classic genre movie. And I felt that that was an essential part of the piece, really. It makes up the middle section of the piece. However, I wanted that horror to be real, not in any way artificially constructed. So in that sense, I really wanted to bring the audience closer to the sort of real dread that someone in Sarah's position would have felt. What the camera does and what the film does is it immerses you in this world that Sarah is occupying, and it never turns away from it. It's with her the whole time. We're with her for 26, 28 minutes, and the camera doesn't cut away. I thought it felt very sort of real and very true because it's done in real time, as she tries to save this man's life. But at the same time, it felt that the cumulative effect of being immersed in that horror, just built and built and built. So it has, it felt in that sense like a home invasion movie where you couldn't get away. You were absolutely trapped, and you're trapped as the audience with Sarah in that situation.
J'ai lu que Jodie Comer avait tourné une scène de 26 minutes en une seule prise. Comment avez-vous réussi à convaincre l'actrice de faire cette scène incroyable?
Jodie was not daunted at all. I mean, she's a pretty remarkable person. I mean, she's amazing, and she kept in character for the whole time. I mean, there's a lot of herself in this part. There's a lot of her, what she brought personally to the part, which is very much a part of Sarah. I mean, it was written, I think Jack wrote her as a little bit more out there. And what she did was she sort of modulated that and made it her own in a really interesting way. She brought it closer to her own experience. And so with both her and Stephen, they both put a lot of themselves in. And also the relationship between the two of them is very similar to their relationship off screen as well. So that formed a part of it. But no, she was very unflustered by my suggestion. The advantage of doing it over such a long period of time is that she can really, really feel the scene building and building and building in a way that quite often when you're shooting shorter takes, you don't. You have to manufacture that.
Comment est-ce de tourner un film sur la pandémie pendant la pandémie? Quel a été le plus difficile?
We were very lucky. We didn't have one case of COVID in the whole film. And the film was very low budget. It's a 5-week shoot. It was cut in 7 weeks. It was fast and furious, the whole thing. It was set during 2020, but filmed in 2021, less than a year after lockdown, we filmed it, that first lockdown. And lots of people said, oh, well, it feels like it's a little bit too soon to be talking about this, that something that happened, quite recently. But the thing is that I think it's still happening. I mean, the issues are exactly the same. Infection rates are climbing again. The issues of the possibility of hospitals getting overwhelmed, the issues of elderly, frail people in care homes, with not enough staff because people are burnt out, is still there and things. So, it felt like a really good time to remind society as a whole that this hasn't gone away.
Ce film a été diffusé à la télévision sur Channel 4 au Royaume-Uni. On a l'habitude de dire que la télévision est une porte ouverte dans les foyers des gens. Puisque la pandémie nous oblige à rester à la maison, est-il nécessaire qu'il soit diffusé à la télé dans les foyers?
I don't think it would have been made by anyone other than Channel 4, actually, because I think, you know, Channel 4 still has a public remit in this country, and it's unafraid of this sort of programming, you know, that all needs to be protected, because of course the big streamers have a different agenda. They need to get their audiences, they need to get their subscribers, that, you know, they need to keep the people that have an agenda which requires people to be entertained in the same degree as they are provoked or angered or whatever, you know. And I think it's testament to Channel 4 that they are still wanting to make sort of controversial and sort of interestingly radical programming, you know, about current issues. And obviously it has to compete with all those other streamers that are coming on, with Netflix and Amazon and, you know, Apple now. But it actually, interestingly, it actually got a very big audience, and I think the word of mouth helped that. But it had the biggest launch on All 4, I think, that All 4 had ever had for a new program. So it actually sort of paid off quite well. I think that was probably the you know, the combination of the fact they had Jodie Comer and Stephen Graham in it on the one hand, and the fact there was a lot of word of mouth around it, and a lot of critical response as well.